I sat on a folding chair, sipping lukewarm coffee from a thermos, watching the fog roll over the Swiss peaks. It was silent, peaceful, and majestic. That is, until the screeching began. My daughter-in-law, Jessica, was standing at the foot of the driveway, screaming at a confused truck driver. Behind her was my son, looking defeated, and behind him were stacks of designer luggage. She marched up the cobblestone path, pointed a manicured finger at my chest, and declared, "We are moving in. You've been hiding this place long enough." She grabbed the heavy iron handle of the front door, looking triumphantly at me. "This is my house now." I didn't stop her. I didn't say a word. I just watched. She threw the door open with the force of a conqueror claiming a castle. And then, she froze. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. She dropped her Chanel bag into the dust. Because what Jessica saw inside wasn't a luxury villa. It was a nightmare. To understand why my daughter-in-law ended up screaming in a pile of sawdust in the middle of the Alps, you have to understand the dynamic of my family. My name is Eleanor, 62F. I worked in corporate law for 35 years. I missed birthdays, I missed holidays, and I worked myself to the bone to provide a good life for my son, Mark, 32M. My husband passed away 5 years ago, leaving me with a significant life insurance policy and a promise, "Ellie, when you retire, buy that house in the mountains you always talked about. Don't leave it for the kids. Live in it." Mark is a good man, but he is weak. He married Jessica, 29F, 3 years ago. Jessica is difficult. She describes herself as a lifestyle influencer, which mostly means she spends Mark's salary on clothes she photographs once and then returns, and she spends her days complaining that their 4-bedroom suburban house isn't aesthetic enough. From the moment they got married, Jessica treated my bank account like her backup plan. "Eleanor, we need a new car for the brand image." "Eleanor, Mark works so hard. Shouldn't you pay for our vacation to Bali?" I usually said no. I'm generous, but I'm not a doormat. However, 6 months ago, I finally retired. I sold my large city house, downsized to a small apartment in town as a base, and began my hunt for the project. I found it in a remote village in the Swiss Alps. It was listed as a historic villa. Now, here is the catch. The listing photos were artistic. They showed the exterior, a stunning, 18th century stone structure with ivy crawling up the walls, a slate roof, and a view that would make you weep. It looked like a fairytale castle. But the listing clearly stated, interior requires total restoration. Shell only. Uninhabitable. I bought it immediately. It was perfect. I didn't want a ready-made house. I wanted to build my dream home inside a historic shell. I hired a local architect, planned a 2-year renovation, and flew out to oversee the initial gutting phase. I made one mistake. I left the printed photos of the exterior on my coffee table back in the city. While I was already in Europe meeting with contractors, Mark went to check on my apartment. Jessica was with him. I received a call 3 days later. "Mom?" Mark's voice sounded strained. "Hi, honey. Everything okay? Did you buy a villa in the Alps?" I sighed. "I bought a property, yes. It's my retirement project." In the background, I heard Jessica screeching. Then, the phone was snatched away. "Eleanor." "Oh my God." Jessica's voice was sickly sweet. "Mark showed me the photos. It's a literal castle. Why didn't you tell us? We've been looking for a summer home." "Jessica," I said firmly. "It is not a summer home. It's a construction site. It's not ready for anyone to." She cut me off. "Oh, stop being so modest." I looked up the address. It's in Val de Bagnes. That's billionaire territory. Look, Mark and I have been talking. Since you're getting older, living alone in the mountains is dangerous. We've decided we'll come stay with you for a few months. To help you settle in. No, I said. You cannot come here. There is nowhere to sleep. There is no heating. It is not safe. You always do this, she snapped, the sweetness vanishing. You hoard your money and your luxury while we suffer in the suburbs. Mark needs a break. I need content for my channel. We are family. The answer is no, Jessica. Do not come here. I hung up. I thought that was the end of it. I underestimated her greed. 2 weeks later, I was standing outside the villa. The exterior was indeed breathtaking. The stone facade was imposing and beautiful. But inside was a different story. We had just finished the strip-out phase. There were no internal walls. No floorboards, just support beams over a dirt cellar. No plumbing. No electricity. The roof was being supported by scaffolding inside the main hall. It was dusty, dark, and filled with bat droppings. I was outside discussing the plumbing schematics with my architect, Pierre, when a massive rental van pulled up the narrow, winding dirt road. My stomach dropped. The van stopped. The door opened. Jessica stepped out. She was wearing white faux fur boots, white skinny jeans, and a beige coat that probably cost more than the van rental. She looked around at the mountains, took a deep breath, and pulled out her phone to record a selfie video. Guys, we finally made it to the family estate, she yelled at her phone. Mark climbed out of the driver's seat. He looked exhausted. He saw me and flinched. Mom. I tried to stop her, he mouthed. I walked down the path to meet them. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice low and dangerous. Jessica pocketed her phone and smirked. We're moving in, Eleanor. We packed up the house. We rented out our place on Airbnb for the next 3 months. We are staying here. I stared at her. You rented out your house? Yes. So we have to stay here. You can't kick us out. It's illegal to make family homeless, she said with a smug grin that she must have learned from a bad TV show. Besides, look at this place. It's huge. There's plenty of room for us in the East Wing. There is no East Wing, I said calmly. Don't lie. She gestured to the massive stone building. I can see the windows. I can see the chimneys. Stop being so selfish. She turned to the movers she had apparently hired locally. Bring the bags. Put them in the master suite. The movers looked at me. I crossed my arms and shook my head. They didn't move. I am telling you, I said to Jessica, do not go inside. Oh, shut up, Eleanor, she shouted, causing Pierre, the architect, to raise an eyebrow. I am the lady of this house now. You're too old to manage a property like this. Mark and I will take over the management. This is my house now. She grabbed her handbag. She marched up the stairs. She reached the massive oak front doors. Mark, bring the dog, she yelled. She threw the door open. The moment the door opened, a cloud of ancient dust puffed out. Jessica stepped in, expecting a marble foyer, a chandelier, and perhaps a butler. Instead, she stepped onto a single plank of wood that bridged the gap over the exposed foundation. She froze. The sunlight streamed in past her, illuminating the inside. The floor was gone. It was just a gaping hole leading to a dark, damp basement. The walls were stripped back to rough stone. There was no ceiling. You could look up and see the rafters and the sky where we were fixing the slate. A thick smell of rot, wet earth, and old animal nests wafted out. A pigeon fluttered down from the rafters and pooped on her white shoulder. She didn't move. She couldn't move. If she took one step to the left or right, she would fall 6 feet into a pit of mud and rusted iron. What? She stammered. Her voice echoed in the empty, cavernous shell. Where is the house? I walked up behind her, careful to stay on the solid stone threshold. I told you, I said casually, taking a sip from my thermos. It's a renovation project. She spun around, teetering dangerously on the plank. Her face was a mask of pure horror. Where are the bedrooms? Where is the kitchen? Where is the bathroom? There isn't one, I replied. I'm staying at a hostel in the village down the valley. I only come up here to supervise the demolition. Mark walked up, holding their Pomeranian. He looked past Jessica and his jaw dropped. Mom, the house has no insides. I know, Mark. That's why I told you not to come. Jessica turned back to the abyss of the house. But the outside. It looks like a palace. It's a heritage facade, Pierre the architect chimed in, lighting a cigarette. Beautiful skin. No guts. Very expensive to fix. Very dangerous. You must leave, madam. Hard hat area only. Jessica's face went from pale to bright red. We rented out our house, she screamed, the sound vibrating off the hollow stone walls. We have nowhere to go. That sounds like a you problem, I said. Jessica stormed out of the house, carefully navigating the plank, and descended into a full tantrum. She threw her bag on the grass. She screamed at Mark. She screamed at me. You tricked us. You did this on purpose to humiliate me. I did nothing, I corrected her. I bought a ruin to fix up. You assumed it was a palace, because you are greedy and superficial. You invaded my property. You ignored my warnings. And now, you are standing in a construction zone in designer heels. She looked at the movers. Unpack the truck. We'll stay in a hotel. The nearest hotel is 40 kilometers away, I pointed out. And it's ski season. Everything is booked. Then where are we supposed to sleep? She shrieked. I looked at the beautiful mountains, then back at her. I suppose you could sleep in the van. But it gets to -5 degrees at night. Mark looked at me, pleading. Mom, please. Can we stay at your hostel? I looked at my son. I loved him, but he needed to learn. My room has a single bed, Mark. And they have a strict no pets policy. And honestly, I don't want to. Jessica gasped. You are evil. No, I said, finally letting my anger show. I am retired. I am done taking care of ungrateful adults. You wanted to be the lady of the house. Here is the house. Take a sleeping bag and sleep on the dirt floor if you want. But if you break a leg, my insurance won't cover you because you are trespassing. They didn't sleep in the house. The reality of the cold mountain air hit them within 20 minutes. They had to drive the rental van back down the mountain. They spent the night sleeping in the van in a parking lot near Geneva, because they couldn't find a hotel that would take the dog last minute. The next day, they had to drive all the way back to the airport. They had to pay a fortune to change their flights. When they got back home, they couldn't get back into their own house, because the Airbnb guests had already checked in. They had to stay in a cheap motel for 2 weeks, paying for it out of the money they had saved for their luxury Alps trip. Jessica tried to blast me on social media. She posted a video titled, "My monster mother-in-law tricked us into a homeless shelter." She showed the video of the outside of the villa, then the inside. It backfired. Spectacularly. People in the comments roasted her. So you tried to invade her house without asking, and you're mad she didn't warn you it was under construction. Why did you assume you could just move in? OP told you not to come. You played yourself. She deleted her account a week later. It has been 8 months. The villa is coming along nicely. We just installed the underfloor heating and the new oak beams are up. It is going to be magnificent. Mark calls me once a week. He sounds different. Less stressed. He told me he and Jessica are going to marriage counseling. Apparently, spending 2 weeks in a Motel 6 with a Pomeranian and no Instagram access forced them to have some real conversations. I told Mark he is welcome to visit when the house is finished in 2 years. And Jessica, he asked. I looked out my window at the snow-capped peaks. Tell her there is a nice stable down the road. It has a roof, at least. I am kidding. Maybe. But for now, I am enjoying the silence of my empty, beautiful, half-built castle.